Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
Support comes from the University of Alaska College Savings Plan, helping you and your child save for college every step of the way, from diapers to diploma. More information at uacollegesavings.com.
The National Weather Service.
Good evening, this is Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Percy Dehne. This is for October 27th, 2016. You can also follow us for different weather times for the show on APB at 5:30 p.m. as well as KUAC 9.4 at 5:30 p.m. as well as 360 North at 7:30 p.m. and the AK Alaska Public Media 5 o'clock a.m. the following morning. Well, we have a bunch of warnings tonight. We have a strong occluded low pressure system that's moving up into the Bering. So strong southerly gradient. So you can see all the red here. It's high, just warnings. For the, we have a high wind warning in effect from noon Friday through noon Saturday, and that's for the lower Kolbuk and Tohovic valleys. And then also we have a high wind warning from noon Friday to 7 a.m. Saturday, and that's going to be for the Baldwin Peninsula and the Selawik valleys. And then moving, we have a high wind warning Friday, noon Friday through noon Saturday, and that's for the Chukchi Sea coast north of Cape Krusenstern. And also we have a high wind warning that's going to be for the, from noon Friday to noon Saturday. That's for the northern and interior Seward Peninsula. And then we have a high surf advisory from 10 a.m. Friday through midnight Friday night. That's going to be for the southern Seward Peninsula coast. This should be colored in red here. And then also we have a high wind warning for that same region, 4 p.m. Friday through 6 a.m. Saturday. Again, a lot of warnings. And then for St. Lawrence, we have a high surf advisory in effect from midnight tonight to 4 a.m. Saturday. And then that's going to be for St. Lawrence Island and the Bering Sea coast, as well as a high wind warning from midnight tonight through 6 a.m. Saturday. And then lastly, we have a high wind warning that's going to be for the YK Delta region, and that's going to be from 6 a.m. Friday midnight through midnight Friday, that is. Now putting our satellite into loop here, here's a swath of moisture just moving from the North Pacific into the Bering as the cyclonic circulation around this occluded low that's just over there, just sitting off the Kamchatka Peninsula. So that all that moisture is going to be pumping up into the Bering, so plenty of moisture and clouds coming through the Bering. And then over in the southeast, we have a weak low pressure system that's sitting just east of Ketchikan, and that's starting to move on shore there. So you got some cloud cover there and some precipitation just towards the Dixon entrance. Otherwise, farther south, we have the next occluded low pressure system just setting south of the Gulf here. So the southeasterly flow is bringing some moisture into the western Gulf, Kodiak region, and spilling over into the Cook Inlet region. Otherwise, farther north, as we can see, we have the southerly flow just bringing moisture right on up, spilling up through the Seward Peninsula as well as into the Arctic coastline. And so with the cooler temperatures, you will have some scattered snow showers here. Today's weather, again, high pressure sitting over basically the Alaska range, so the Anchorage Bowl, pretty nice conditions, sunny skies. But otherwise, the weak trough that's sitting over the Dead Horse region was kicking off some scattered snow showers there to the southwest of it along Cape Lisburne, extending down to the Seward Peninsula. And here's that strong occluded low pressure system, the 966 millibar low, that's just sitting off the Kamchatka Peninsula, extending occluded front extending down all the way through the central Aleutians. And then you see all these black lines, these are isobars. The more you have tighter grouped together, that's the indicator of strong southerly winds, strong gradient, strong winds. So this southerly flow, that's going to continue to bring warm air all the way up into the northern Bering. Over in the southeast panhandle, again, we have that occluded low pressure system that's sitting south of the Gulf, southeasterly flow, and it's not much with that system. There is a little bit of light rain that's spilling over into the Kodiak region. Otherwise, partly cloudy skies along the southeast panhandle, except for from the Dixon entrance east with that low pressure system that's moving by. Farther north, again, that weak low pressure system that's not producing very little precipitation, but mostly cloudy skies from Dead Horse west. Then for tonight's forecast, this occluded low pressure system moves farther north, just south of the Antarctic Gulf. Again, a strong southerly push of warm air and tight gradient there. You're going to have plenty of moisture, widespread moisture spilling, rain going all the way to the north. Again, all these warmer temperatures being pushed north. That's why you don't have any wintry mix until you get over the eastern Siberian range. So just a lot of warm air being pushed up. Then on the back side of this system, you'll start seeing a little bit of cooler air filtering in, so that'll bring some wintry mix there just west of the Aleutians. Otherwise, it'll be westerly flow. Again, in the southeast panhandle, you're going to have high pressure dominating as the ridge extending all the way through the central interior, almost to Seward Peninsula. Otherwise, a light southeasterly flow. You're going to have some light rain, wintry mix a little bit farther north, but no major accumulations there. Otherwise, a nice dry slot for tonight, mostly clear skies all the way southwest Anchorage Bowl into the interior. You're going to have some scattered snow showers along the northwest coastline from Barrow all the way down to Cape Lisburne, and then that's associated with that weak trough that's pushing through. Then Friday's forecast, the system's moving slow. You're going to again have a strong southerly gradient, plenty of rain widespread extending from the eastern Aleutians all the way up to Seward Peninsula. You start to get a little bit of wintry mix as it mixes in with the cooler air to the north. So you'll see snow as you get closer to the Kotzebue Sound region there. Otherwise, again, on the back side, you have another weak low that's forming, but otherwise this system is starting to die and weaken, and you're going to have a southwesterly flow to westerly, scattered rain showers on this back side. The southeast panhandle, again, the high pressure dominating, mostly clear skies tomorrow, maybe towards just near Yakutat, some little bit of light rain in that region, and also towards the Dixon entrance. Saturday's forecast, this low pressure system, included low pressure system, finally starts entering the Beaufort Sea or the Chukchi Sea up here, and then that trailing occluded front, it will be extending from Barrow all the way down into a weak low that formed just sitting off of Kodiak region. So you'll have some light rain. Again, the wintry mix a little farther north along our coastline from Barrow eastward, the Dead Horse. Otherwise, southwesterly flow on the backside from the northern Bering all the way to the western Aleutians, the western Bering, and again, scattered rain showers here and there. But otherwise, as that cooler air starts filtering in, you'll have a wintry mix, and then by Sunday, you'll start seeing some light snow, scattered showers in the Shemya region. Otherwise, for the southeast panhandle, high pressure is still dominating. A little bit of precipitation moving on shore, but nothing to write home about. But anyway, some light rain there. But otherwise, it should be a decent day by the time the afternoon rolls around. And then for temperatures, for the southeast, with that high pressure, you can see the high temperatures, 56 at Sitka, 53 at Klowak, and then the Anchorage in the Copper River Basin had the cooler temperatures with that high pressure system sitting through that ridge. Copper River Basin at Glen Allen coming in at 9, Valdez at 39, Cordova at 39. You had Seward at 46. As you're moving on down the southwestern region, you can see 47 at Kodiak. And then along the Alaska range, Alaska Peninsula, pretty much all in the mid-40s. You did have a high temperature there at 51 there, sitting at Dutch. And temperature is 2 p.m. Again, not surprising, it's cooler as you go farther north. Arctic Village coming in at 3, Dead Horse at 14, Barrow came in at 28. Going on down a little bit warmer there, again with that southerly push and warm air pushing in there. You had Cape Lisburne coming in at 36, and then Gamble coming in at 40 degrees. And then along the chain, again, the strong occluded low pressure system, southerly winds. You can see 50 degrees at Adak and Atka, and then slightly cooler on the backside, 43 degrees at Shemya. And then the Pribilofs, St. Paul and St. George coming in at 47 and 45. Tonight's low pressure system, low temperatures, correction on that. Again, not surprising, it's going to be coolest in the valleys, -2 in the Arctic village range and area, and then 24s in the lower 20s in the Arctic northwest coastline from Barrow, extending down to a little warmer there at Point Hope, coming in at 33. Otherwise, the southwest, again, southwesterly flow, warmer air pushing in. You can see all the temperatures well above freezing here along the southwest coastline, 34 at Dillingham. And then along the chain, eastern Aleutians, you can see 36, 45 at Cold Bay, and then 48 at Dutch. A little cooler there at Shemya, but still pretty good. The southeast, again, the high pressure over this region, you're going to have temperatures in the for tonight's low in the mid-30s, 44 there at Sitka and 45 at AKwx. Tomorrow's high temperatures, again with a southerly push, and not surprising to see along the chain, you're going to be here in the lower 50s, in the mid-40s as you go southwest YK Delta region. Seward Peninsula, it's creeping up there, 38, 41, 38 at Tin City. You farther north, you're just below freezing there, 28 at Barrow, and slightly cooler in the Arctic village area. The southeast, nice and toasty for this time of year, 54 there at Sitka and 48 at AKwx, Skagway coming in at 47, and Yakutat coming in at 50. Tomorrow's fine weather in the morning. Again, you're going to have this swath of marginal to IFR conditions with this southerly push with that included low pressure system. Farther north with that trailing trough, that's why you have some low ceilings up here along the Arctic coastline. And then with the high pressure dominant over the southeast here, Panhandle, you're going to have some marginal to lower IFR conditions in the inside waters there, and then marginal over the Gulf. By the afternoon, the system moves farther east. So again, the lower ceilings will continue to move farther east, start hitting the southwest YK Delta region and the Seward Peninsula. And then farther north, you still that lingering low stratus in that region. Otherwise, on the backside of this included low pressure system, you're going to have scattered showers with marginal VFR conditions. And then it'll clear up over the southeast Panhandle and a little bit of marginal VFR along the northern coastal communities. Tomorrow's flying conditions, Anaktuvik VFR conditions, Adigun VFR conditions, Lake Clark and Merrill VFR conditions, rainy VFR conditions, windy VFR conditions, Isabel VFR conditions, and Mentasta marginal VFR, Tanita VFR, Portage VFR conditions, and then Chillicook and White VFR conditions. And then tomorrow morning's freezing levels, it's not surprising. You're going to have 10,000 feet right over here over the central Aleutians with that strong southerly push and included included front that's pushing up through the Bering. Your freezing levels are all the way up to the surface, or 2,000. They're just over the eastern Siberia and extending over the Kamchatka Peninsula. The southeast, Panhandle and northern coastal communities, you're going to have, again, near the coastline, and then with a high pressure, you can see that you're a little bit higher there over the interior there of the near Dixon entrance. And farther north, you're going to have that low that's starting to dig down into the Yukon Territory. So that's why it's a little cooler. Freezing heights are a little bit lower in that region there. It's at a high pressure, starts to wrap around with moisture coming in that region with warmer air. So that's why it's a little higher, I should say. Otherwise, surface along the Arctic coast, northwest coastal communities, and farther north along the coastline. Tomorrow's icing, about 4,000 along the Chukchi Sea and the northern Bering Strait. As you go farther south, the freezing levels start to raise. You can see above 7,000, that's light to occasional moderate. And then above 3,000 there on the backside with this cooler air filtering into the western Aleutians. And then for the tomorrow's jet stream, again, here's this strong northwesterly flow that's been like this for the last several days, 160 knots, is digging down to the base of the long wave trough, and then it transitions to southerly 130 knots, bringing all that southerly warm air into the Bering and southwest region as it builds this amplified ridge here, extending through the North Pacific all the way up to Barrow. And then it transitions to northwesterly again as it digs down into the long wave trough that's sitting over the southeast Panhandle region. And that transitions to southwesterly flow as it moves into the lower 48. Tomorrow's 9,000 foot winds. Again, You have this strong cool low pressure system sitting over the western Aleutians. So you have a tight gradient here, westerly 45 to 50 knots. Then it transitions just southerly 50 to 60 over the eastern Bering and as well as northern Bering and the southwest to northern coastal communities. Then over the southeast panhandle, you're going to have high pressure dominating with light anticyclonic flow, 10 knots. Then you have a high pressure ridge that's sitting right here, southerly at 40, then it becomes northerly at 40 there with high pressure sitting south of the Gulf region. Otherwise, you're going to have a southerly flow of 30 knots over the eastern Brooks Range, and that transitions to westerly at 35. Tomorrow's 3,000 foot winds. Again, these double barrel lows here sitting over the western and eastern Bering. You're going to have southwesterly flow, pretty strong, 35, 40, and then transitions to southerly or southwesterly, 55 to 60 in the southwest interior, and then it moves as it moves farther north or the barrel region, it'll start to weaken. Over the southeast panhandle, you have high pressure dominating the ridge sitting over here, the southeast panhandle, and there's a weak low pressure system that's starting to fill. Otherwise, farther north, you're going to have easterly flow of 15 to 20 knots coming into the eastern Beaufort Sea. And then tomorrow's turbulence, below 5,000 along the central to eastern Aleutians and part of the Alaska Peninsula, below 5,000 over the Bristol Bay region, as well as over the just south of the Seward Peninsula region and over St. Lawrence Island below 5,000. Over the western Aleutians, below 5,000. And then sea surface temperatures, they'll start warming up. As you can see with this southerly flow, cooler temperatures to the north, that's what they're showing in this region. Otherwise, high pressure dominating, you're going to see a little bit slightly cooler here in the Sitka to Ketchikan region, but still pretty warm temperatures. We'll be back with your Marines after this.
Fall Sky Saga.
Hey there, stargazers. I'm James Albury, director of the Kika Silva Plow Planetarium in Gainesville, Florida.
And I'm Dehne Regas, astronomer for the Cincinnati Observatory. We're here to help you find your way around the sky tonight. The ancient stargazers had a lot of imagination.
When they looked at the stars, they connected the dots and pictured people, animals, rivers, and even entire scenes.
And in the fall evening sky, if you have an ancient imagination, you can see a king and a queen,
A prince and a princess,
two monsters, and
a flying horse, who's flying upside down, by the way.
it's going to get crowded up there, but we can walk you through it.
Okay, we have our skies set up for 9 p.m. facing northeast. About halfway up in the sky, you'll find the 5 familiar stars that look like a letter W.
This is the beautiful Queen Cassiopeia. Now stretch your imaginations a little and see if you can make out a Queen of Ethiopia sitting on her throne.
Sorry, I guess I don't have that much imagination. But once you find her, she is the central character of our story.
Legend has it that Cassiopeia bragged about her beauty way too much. In fact, one day she said, now get this, she said, "I'm more beautiful than all the mermaids in the ocean."
Yikes. That got Poseidon, the god of the sea, super mad. He confronted Cassiopeia's husband, King Cepheus, whose 5 fainter stars are up and to the left of his wife. The stars look like an upside-down house.
For insulting the gods, Cassiopeia had to give up her one and only daughter, the Princess Andromeda, as a sacrifice. Basically, they had to chain Andromeda to a big rock in the ocean and let Poseidon's pet sea monster eat her.
You can find Andromeda to the right of Cassiopeia. Her stars look more like a skinny letter A.
A for Andromeda.
Exactly. Andromeda also houses the closest spiral galaxy to our Milky Way. It's called the Andromeda Galaxy because you can find it right near her hip star. Of course, if you live in a light-polluted area, you won't be able to see this galaxy. However, if you're out in the country, you might see it looking like a little cloud, barely visible to the naked eye.
With binoculars, you can resolve a lot more of its cloudy nature, and with a telescope, you can see it as a long, fuzzy blur. Imagine a galaxy with 1 trillion stars that you can't see with the naked eye. Space is scary big.
Now, before the sea monster makes his appearance, we must introduce our hero, Perseus. As the story goes, Perseus that very morning slew the wicked Gorgon Medusa.
She's the one with snakes for hair and turns you to stone with just one look.
Looking at her reflection in his shield, Perseus chopped off her head, then put the head in a bag for safekeeping.
Later that afternoon, as he was flying through the air on his winged sandals with the infamous bag at his side, Perseus happened to spy a young maiden in distress.
Our Princess Andromeda. Now we're facing east at 10 p.m. and Perseus appears on the scene. You can find him as a squiggle of stars below Andromeda's feet.
The sea monster, a constellation named Cetus, is just rising in the east-southeast. I think his stars look like a recliner chair.
That doesn't seem so scary.
Anyway, Perseus yells to Andromeda, "Close your eyes." Then he closes his eyes, reaches into the bag and pulls out Medusa's severed head, shows it to the sea monster, who takes one look at it and poof, turns to stone.
Perseus saves the day. Wow, what a starry story. A king, a queen, a prince, a princess, two monsters, and oops, we forgot the flying horse.
Oh yeah, Pegasus was supposedly born from this epic battle. As Perseus held out Medusa's head, this is kind of gross now, some of her blood fell into the water and turned magically into Pegasus the flying horse.
Oh, come on, that's too weird.
Agreed, but that's the kind of imagination we're dealing with when we learn about the constellations and when you keep looking up.
Welcome back to your Alaska weather. Now starting off with the sea ice analysis. It's starting to build in from the eastern Beaufort Sea as well as along the coastline, and this will continue to fill in both ways in the next several days to a week. Otherwise, you still have some ice that's forming in the Kotzebue Sound as well as the Seward, the Norton Sound as well. Otherwise, Friday's marine forecast for the southeast. On the inside waters, you're going to have northerly flow 10 to 15 knots. The outside waters, you're going to have easterly flow 20 knots near the Dixon entrance, and it starts weakening as you go farther north toward Yakutat, southeast 15. Again, your strongest wave heights are going to be 10 to 8 feet on the outside waters and 2 to 3 feet in the inside waters. For Saturday, northerly flow coming out of the Lynn Canal region, otherwise light and variable, less than 10 knots, basically through extending down to the Dixon entrance. Otherwise, on the outside waters, northerly flow 10 knots, and light and variable as you go farther north towards Yakutat. Either way, your sea heights, again, are going to be the highest on the outside waters, ranging 6 to 9 feet. Then for Friday marine forecast for south central, southeasterly push here, you're going to have small craft winds going through the Barren Islands, and then northerly flow 15 knots northeasterly through the southern Cook Inlet region. Otherwise, through the Prince William Sound, northeast flow 10 knots, and southeasterly flow as you go farther north and heading towards the Hinchinbrook entrance. On Saturdays for the south central, you're going to have, again, small craft winds strongest through the Barren Islands, extending over into the Kachemak Bay region. Always northeast flow in through the Cook Inlet region, as well as northeast flow extending through the Prince William Sound. And then southwesterly push extending through both sides of the island, Kodiak, through the Shelikof Strait, as well as on the east side of the Kodiak. And then for Friday's marine forecast, you're going to, again, that strong southerly push with that strong included system that's over the Bering is bringing storm force winds on both sides of the Pacific and the Bering side of the Alaska Peninsula. Wave heights will be the strongest on the Pacific side, 24 feet. And then for Saturday, they start transitioning to southwest, they start diminishing some, and then they're going to be weaker southwest 15 there through the Bristol Bay region, and then westerly there through the Chiknik area. And then for along the Aleutians, again, southwesterly flow, gale force winds, 45 knots, the strongest there on the Bering and Pacific side as you get towards Dutch. Otherwise, southerly there towards Shemya, again, with that included low pressure system that's moving through the Bering. That's why you have this southwesterly push here. And then for Saturday, southerly winds definitely picking up to high-end storm force winds here, 60 knots southwest there, just of AKwx and ADAC. 37 feet would be your highest wave heights with that. And then you're going to have, on the Bering side, you're going to have 50 knots southerly there from Dutch, extending to 45 near ADAC and AKwx. And they start diminishing as you get down to Shemya on the back side of the system. So finally, they're starting to diminish there for the western Aleutians. And then for Friday's marine forecast for the west coast, pretty much storm force winds southeasterly to southerly there through the Kuskokwim Bay, extending all the way towards Gamble, and then southerly 40 to 45 knots through the Pribilofs and St. Matthew Island. And then again, it diminishes to lower end gale force winds, southerly push here, extending through the central to northern Bering. And then for the Arctic coastline for Friday, easterly winds 10 knots, a little stronger as you get through the Chukchi Sea and extending down through the Bering Strait, south easterly 45 knots, easterly here 40 there off Cape Lismore. And then for Saturday, again, southeasterly push storm force winds there as you get down through the northern Bering Strait there. And then easterly 25 to 30 knots through Barrow. And you start to see this cooler temperatures, so you're going to look for freezing spray. Tonight's forecast, again, here's that strong included low pressure system sitting through the Bering, northern Bering. So strong southerly push of air and winds throughout the central Aleutians all the way up to the northern Bering. Farther north along the Arctic coastline, a weak trough, so you have some scattered snow showers. The southeast, a high pressure dominating just to the north with some light southeasterly onshore flows and some light rain, making it over into Yakutat region as well as the northern coastal communities. And then for Friday's forecast, again, this front moves farther east, occluded front, continued strong southerly winds through the Bristol Bay region, extending all the way up to the northern Bering. So wintry mix there through the Seward Peninsula region. Always on the backside, you have scattered rain showers throughout the Bering. That's it for your Marines. We'll see you tomorrow.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Support comes from the University of Alaska College Savings Plan, helping you and your child save for college every step of the way, from diapers to diploma. More information at uacollegesavings.com.